Can you hear me? Yes? Great. Patience is a virtue that God did not bless me with. Ask anyone who knows me what words they would use to describe me, and you'll hear things like loud, or talkative, or outgoing, or crazy, but patient never seems to make the list. I just don't really like to wait. But when I heard that Goshen College had a speech competition as a freshman, I did that, which is against my very nature, and I waited. I waited 2 years to give this speech, and some of that was because I felt like maybe I was a little too young, maybe I just wasn't ready, but I had this nagging feeling that I needed to wait. I needed to wait for the time to be right, for the atmosphere to clear, for the door to open. And then a few months ago, a door opened. A big, wide open door at Goshen's sister school, Eastern Mennonite University, or EMU. A few months ago, EMU announced that it would start to seriously discuss how to create an inclusive hiring policy for LGBTQ individuals, or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer questioning individuals. Now, since that announcement a few months ago, several events have taken place on and off campus. In fact, so many things have changed that my speech that I wrote a month ago has become a little bit outdated, which is pretty exciting. This discussion is happening in our school, in our church, in our nation, and Goshen, I think it's time that we seriously start to talk about the hiring policy. Now, I know it's not easy to talk about a policy about same-sex sexuality at a Christian college, but I think that in our efforts to avoid being divisive, we have found ourselves to be exclusive. And the Goshen College Community Standards for Employment says that the Mennonite Church USA's Confession of Faith places sexual intercourse within the covenant of marriage between a woman and a man, and therefore employees are expected to follow this understanding. Now, when Patrick Ressler, a former Goshen College student, read this, he realized that as an openly gay and coupled man, he could never come back to teach at this college. So in 2011, he formed a group to address the hiring policy. This group met with Vice President of Academic Affairs, Anita Stalter, and President James Brenneman. Brenneman talked about how there wasn't necessarily a problem with hiring gay or lesbian celibate professors, but there were more complications when it came to hiring openly gay and lesbian coupled professors. Brenneman added that it was unlikely that the college could do anything about the policy at that time because they were already facing difficulties with the national anthem debate. So, the group decided to write an open letter to the GC community. On April 15, 2011, they posted this letter on gcopenletter.org. The movement, known as the Open Letter Movement, is best known for their Where's My GLBTQ prof shirts that they wear on campus. Now, a month ago, the number of students who had signed the open letter was 506, with 209 of those students on campus currently. But like I said, a lot has changed in the past month. And a month later, the number stands at 548, with 249 of those students on campus. This support can even be seen with the alumni. And a month ago, once again, the number was 957, and now it's 1,083. This includes alumni, faculty, retired faculty, and even Mayor Alan Kaufman. A study was done in 2011 on this campus right around the time that the open letter was released. It found that 71% of students and faculty supported changing the hiring policy. Now, this trend can be found in America today. 52% of Americans support same-sex marriage, and according to a study done by the Pew Research, 72% of Americans, regardless of their beliefs on the issue, believe that same-sex marriage will be legal in the near future. Now, a lot of this support comes from the millennial generation, which has an acceptance rate of 74% for homosexuality in society. But even still, we're seeing changes happening in the older generations. According to Pew Research, they asked gay marriage supporters if they had always held these beliefs. Over a quarter of them had changed their mind in the past 10 years, and a third of them said that was because they now knew somebody who was LGBTQ. We're even seeing this change within our churches. In a study done by the National Congregation Study in 2012, they found that 48% of religious congregations allow same-sex couples full membership. Many institutions, including Goshen College, are beginning to realize that LGBTQ supporters are quickly becoming a majority group. In fact, a member of the administration has said the board believes the policy will most likely change within the next 10 years. So it's not so much a problem about whether the policy will change. It's the hesitancy to start that change at an institutional level. Now, there are many complications when it comes to changing a policy about same-sex sexuality on a Christian college campus. One of those concerns, according to several sources, is Goshen's membership within the CCCU, or the Council for Christian Colleges and Universities. The CCCU provides Goshen with many benefits, including opportunities for development for faculty and staff, programs such as the LA Film School, and developmental opportunity programs for diversity programs. The CCCU, however, has a very strong conservative stance on homosexuality, and the college is a little concerned that if they were to change a policy like this, we could be kicked out of the CCCU and lose these benefits. Then there's the problem with enrollment. Now, as the college is working to increase enrollment, I've been told that there are a few disagreements about whether certain demographics would attend this college if the policy were to change. Then there's the element of being affiliated with the Mennonite Church. Now, the policy references the Mennonite Church USA's Confession of Faith, which is about 30 years old. The church is currently working through how to assess this statement and how to best discuss this hot topic issue within the church. So Goshen has legitimate concerns when it comes to changing this policy, and I think we're trying to avoid rocking the boat too much. However, I think the college is already being rocked by waves that were started at EMU on November 16th, 2013. On the morning of the 16th, EMU's Board of Trustees unanimously voted to have a 6-month listening process where they would review current hiring policies and practices in regards to individuals in same-sex relationships. And during this time, no faculty or staff will be punished for engaging in same-sex relationships. So EMU is a part of the CCCU. EMU is also affiliated with the Mennonite Church. In fact, their hiring policy is practically identical to the one here at Goshen. EMU and Goshen resemble each other in many ways, with many of the same concerns, the same complications, the same risks, the same hesitancies. But the difference? EMU has chosen to move forward anyways. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "There comes a point when we must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but one must take it because it is right." I do not like being told that we have to wait for this change, and for me, that is because this is not just about whether this is the right time to change the policy. This is not just about money or enrollment. This is not just about theology or church practices, because when you strip away these complications, these arguments, these reasons for or against, you're left with people. You are left with people who know and show God's love. You are left with people who are talented and passionate. And you are left with people who are being left out. In Luke 14, 1-24, Jesus tells the parable of all God's children being welcomed at the table. And in the spirit of being Christ-centered, Goshen states that it is dedicated to fostering a spirit of hospitality on campus for everyone, students, faculty, and campus guests. But The hospitality statement continues by saying that Goshen welcomes all students, regardless of color, gender, religion, race or ethnicity, sexual orientation, and social or economic class. Now, this shouldn't be shirked off as some small sentiment. It's rare to find a college that publicly declares its acceptance for LGBTQ students. Yet, this invitation only extends to students. Goshen is still turning people away from the table, and my question is no longer, where is my GLBTQ prof? My question is, why do we refuse these professors a seat? My question is, what could be more important than allowing all God's children a seat at the table? My question is, who are we to judge who can take a seat? My question is, when are we going to finally take the straight-only sign off the table? My question is, how? How can we tell all students they can take a seat? How can we spend 4 years nurturing passionate learners, compassionate peacemakers, and encourage them to use their gifts to better the world? How can we look these same students in the eyes and tell them to leave once they feel called to share those gifts with us on campus? These are the questions that haunt me. And these are the questions that keep me from waiting. In November, Stefan Baumgartner and I held an open letter summit to discuss the hiring policy. Now, the night before the summit, Stefan and I decided we would write a prayer, a closing prayer for the event. And we would decided that we'd each write our own separate prayer and combine them at the end. So that night in my apartment, I am typing and I am retyping, and I cannot find the right words. So I ask myself, what do I want for my college? What do I want for this movement? What do I want for myself? Why do I do this? Many of my closest friends that I have ever had in my entire life are gay, lesbian, and bisexual. And you know what? We suffer and we cry just as much as we laugh and love, because that is just how life is. But there is a certain type of pain that comes from being LGBTQ that I will never understand. I will never understand what it is like to be afraid that my mother will stop loving me, or that my father will kick me out of my house. I will never understand what it is like to be afraid that my church will turn its back on me, or worse, my God. I will never understand what it is like to feel so afraid, to feel so alone, to feel so lost that I do not want to see another day. I will never understand that pain. But I'll tell you what, I have witnessed it. Something even more remarkable that I have witnessed that I will never understand is courage. The courage that it takes to overcome this pain can overcome all darkness. And that is because this courage is fueled by love. It is fueled by the love for church, the love for God, the love for partners, the love for friends, the love for family, and the love for self. So at the Open Letter Summit, I asked God to help us find that courage. And now, I extend that prayer to all of us on campus and off. I ask for the courage to no longer stand against those we disagree with, but with those that we disagree with. I ask for the courage to have this discussion, to open the doors to discussion and to hear both sides. I ask for the courage to no longer see sides. I ask for the courage to speak honestly, to listen earnestly, and to love wholeheartedly. I ask for the courage to be compassionate peacemakers. Most of all, I ask for the courage for us to invite everyone to the welcome table. Thank you.
The first place winner and recipient of a $500 award and the opportunity to represent Goshen College in the national competition is Abby Deaton. You have been a wonderful audience. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. Hopefully, we will see you in about a year for the 2015 contest. Have a wonderful night.